Gonna meet you at the station when the train comes along. We'll all be there now, don't be late. Gonna meet you at the station when the train comes along. She's right on time now, she won't wait. Gonna meet you at the station when the train comes along. Oh, when the train comes along, oh, when the train comes along. Gonna meet you at the station when the train comes along. Oh, when the train comes along, oh, when the train comes along. Gonna meet you at the station when the train comes along.
Hi, I'm Roy Neal, coming your way from the largest roundhouse still operating in North America, Spencer Shops, North Carolina. A transportation museum that serves as a link between the past and the present of America's railroads. This was Southern Railway's largest maintenance facility between Washington, D.C. and Atlanta, Georgia. The museum has restored its 37-bay roundhouse. They also have collected more than 95 pieces of rolling stock for the public to view. Since the birth of the first American railroad about 160 years ago, Americans have had a passionate love affair with trains. They evoke an air of romance, mystery, excitement. Unfortunately, in the last 50 years, more than half of the rails laid in America have been abandoned or torn up. However, some of the railroads have survived and been turned into scenic railways. We're going to take you on a journey to some of the greatest scenic railways in the eastern part of the United States. We will travel from Maine to North Carolina, past historic battlefields. We'll carve our way through hand-dug tunnels and pass over some of the highest trestles in the country. All right. Time to begin our journey. So climb aboard with me for an unforgettable experience with some of the most scenic railways in the eastern part of the United States.
We begin our great scenic railway journey in Belfast, Maine, a rugged state known for its coastal beauty and great seafood. We're climbing aboard the Belfast and Moosehead Lake Railroad. And yes, the moose have heard railroad whistles for a long time in these parts. In fact, this is the 6th oldest railroad in the country, operating continuously since the 1860s. The original purpose of this railroad was to establish a link between the seacoast and the Moosehead Lake area. Originally, a lot of chicken feed was hauled through the area, but when the poultry business tailed off, the railroad was in danger of being closed down. In 1989, passengers replaced poultry. A scenic railroad was hatched, and now train lovers from all ages marvel at the Maine countryside.
Hi, folks. Welcome aboard. Nice to see you.
There are 2 types of trains on this trip. Out of Unity, you can ride the Swedish steam locomotive 1149. Built in 1913, this Class B locomotive has an interesting story behind it. The engine, along with many others, was put into storage for over 30 years. Why? Well, because the Swedes were fearful of World War III and wanted to have engines in storage that didn't rely on electricity or diesel fuel. Well, after the Cold War ended, the Swedes decided to sell off most of these beautiful engines, and the Belfast and Moosehead Lake Railroad was lucky enough to pick one up. Now, 1149 can take passengers on an unforgettable journey through the Maine countryside, thundering by its many bogs, deep forests, and over its rivers. The other railroad journey you can experience departs from the coastal town of Belfast. You take off from the mouth of the Penobscot Bay and venture inland along the Passagasawake River. As you can see, the sights are most definitely soothing to the soul. And while you're taking in Maine's beauty, how about taking a bite out of Maine too? Your trip wouldn't be complete without a taste of Maine's famous seafood, from mussels to the legendary lobster. And while you're enjoying your meal, there are 24 miles of unsurpassed beauty to digest as well. A journey on the Belfast and Moosehead Lake Railroad surely will satisfy your passion for beautiful scenery as well as for seafood. Coast and travel over the White Mountains to North Conway, New Hampshire. New Hampshire may be famous for its Presidential Railroad. What do you prefer, lush valleys or stunning mountains? On the Conway Scenic Railroad, you have your pick. They have several different trips. We climbed aboard the 61-mile journey to Crawford Notch and back. If high altitude's your preference, this is the train ride for you. Here you'll climb from 800 feet to 1,800 feet. A 1,000-foot hike that's breathtaking, especially as you cross two famous trestles. Frankenstein trestle. No, there's no monster lumbering around the area, although it is a scary view if you're afraid of heights. The Frankenstein trestle is 510 feet long and about 80 feet high. The structure's named after the Frankenstein brothers, famous for their paintings of the local landscape. The other trestle is the Willie Brook. It stretches over 200 feet and rises 90 feet off the ground. The memories are timeless for those who dare to climb to Crawford Notch. From the front seat, this is a mystical mountain trip. No highway to be found here, just the groan of the diesel engines and the rumbling of iron rails. This line originally was built by the Portland and Ogdensburg Railroad in 1872, and later became part of the Boston and Maine Railroad. The engines and cars are essential on this trip. Your train ride's powered by two Canadian GP9s with Lackawanna coaches and Canadian National coaches. Canada may be a rugged place, but it's no easier traveling here or rewarding. The Conway Scenic Line has some of the most spectacular scenery that you'll find anywhere. Looking out your window, you see sheer bluffs, steep ravines, cascading brooks and streams, wide mountain vistas. Imagine spending 5.5 hours in such a raw wonderland. That's how long the trip takes, but no one complains. How could they? They truly are traveling through some of the most historic and beautiful countryside in North America. After leaving Conway, we venture west on the Kangomagus Highway to Lincoln to experience one of New Hampshire's other great scenic railways. This railroad's a hit with hobos. Hobos? Well, of course. Railroads and hobos go way back. Down on your luck, hop a freighter. Maybe there's a pot of gold down the line. Maybe these folks don't look like hobos. They certainly aren't down on their luck, and their spirits seem high, and that's because they're enjoying the Hobo Scenic Railroad. A 9-mile journey that winds and cuts its way through the beautiful White Mountain Range. 100 years ago, this was the playground for the rich. Fabulous hotels dotted the land, such as the Deer Park Inn and the Alpine. These places were so popular that the Boston, Maine, and Montreal Railroad built this line in 1883 to get summer tourists to this mountainous area. These days, the old hotels have disappeared, but not the railroad, nor the beauty. The Hobo Railroad's been taking passengers on this journey since 1986. The railroad follows the graceful windings of the Pemigewasset River. And what a combination where clouds race the train and pristine mountain waters capture your senses. In autumn, this is a particularly beautiful place. You can thank the city of Boston for that. You see, most of the softwood trees in this area were cut down to help supply the lumber that helped buy hardwoods that burst with color come autumn. The Hobo train certainly is not poor for power. 1186 is a 100-ton Alco locomotive. Originally, this locomotive was part of the Boston and Maine Railroad. The rest of the train consists of these beautifully restored Pullman cars, built in the 1920s. They've been modified with open platforms and tables, so there's plenty of room to stretch out. Let's stick our heads out the window and take in the breezy ride, hobo style. Time to head west to Marionville, Pennsylvania, where an historic railroad bridge awaits. But to cross it, we have to climb aboard the Knox and Kane Railroad. The roots of this railroad date back to 1881. That's when the Pittsburgh, Bradford, and Buffalo Railroad built this line to haul lumber and oil out of the area. In 1982, the Knox and Kane Railroad bought these tracks from the present owners, the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, to return passenger service to the line which had been halted over 60 years ago. Yep, railroad crossing signs have been around these parts a while. If you love the color green, well, look no further. This is the Allegheny National Forest area, and the Knox and Kane Railroad winds through 96 miles of stunning territory. Come in early autumn, and you'll see lots of patches of nature's bright colors. A beautiful Chinese steam engine will guide you on this journey. It was built in 1989. I said 1989. China still builds steam engines, and this one was built specifically for the Knox and Kane. It's modeled after the Baldwin 282 and is only one of 3 operating in the United States. Behind this 2,000 horsepower beauty lie a variety of historic rail cars. But the best place to absorb the sights and sounds on the trip is captured in the open-air cars. As the wheels spin, you pass an endless variety of forests. It's like a rolling postcard, especially poignant as the seasons change. One thing that does not change is the awesome reaction everyone feels as they cross the Kinzua Bridge. Folks, this is like floating upon greatness. The Kinzua Bridge was built in 1882. At the time, this was the highest railroad bridge in the world. The bridge crosses over the lovely Kinzua Creek Valley, over 2,000 feet traversed high in the sky, over 300 feet above ground. Despite being built over 100 years ago, the Kinzua Bridge remains the fourth highest railroad bridge in the world. Up here, steam blasts from trains practically touch the clouds. On the day we were there, it started sleeting. Winter may have been far off based on the calendar, but up here, nature has its own rules. Rules that leave you in awe. Is it any wonder that the Kinzua Bridge is listed both in the National Register of Historic Places and as a National Historic Civil Engineering Landmark? If such history interests you, then the Knox and Kane Scenic Railroad's for you. Enjoy history in motion. And remember, no matter what the weather looks like above the ground, the show below always is impressive. Pennsylvania has many beautiful scenic railroads, so we venture east to Strasburg, home to the only train that can take you to paradise. You see, the Strasburg Railroad literally stops in Paradise, the town. And on your rail journey from Strasburg to Paradise, you travel through the heart of Amish country. Indeed, a lot of things are old-fashioned around here. For one thing, the Strasburg Railroad is the... Care to guess how long these tracks have been in use? Would you believe 1832? Andrew Jackson was in his first term as president then, and the scenery probably looked about the same as it does now. And where this 9-mile, 45-minute trip really is a vacation spent in the 19th century. Endless green fields where silos tower above nature's bounty, where trees form natural tunnels, and locomotives demand more coal to climb this hilly countryside. Leave the hairspray at home. That is, if you want to try, is the only way to experience the Royal Sisters, smelling the fresh farm air beneath you as the steam engine pulls its way through the timeless beauty of the area. Speaking of steam engines, this handsomely restored and built by the Baldwin Locomotive Works back in 1906. History meets you right at the tracks. The Strasburg Railroad can be enjoyed either outside or in one of its many beautifully restored wooden coaches. But don't call these trains mere antiques. Facility line in the late 50s. Dwindling freight sent this historic line off its tracks. But a group of 24 individuals rescued the railroad in 1958, keeping the railroad running in an area where time seemingly has stood still. Peaceful hills of paradise to historic journey back in time. When the train whistle blows into the rolling beauty of the area, there's great sadness. An epic Civil War battle took place here, a place where farmlands were fertilized with Civil War blood. Ironic now, as you travel the Gettysburg Railroad, it's so peaceful. Today, the only sound from the engines of the Gettysburg Railroad as they pass through the battlegrounds of the bloodiest battle in American history. As you gaze away, imagine 3 days in July when North clashed with South in over 69 tons of ammunition used up, 51,000 casualties. As you tour the area on the Gettysburg Railroad, realize that you're traveling through the most visited, most written about battle ever fought in North America. On your trip, you'll see monuments set in time and the bare beauty of the land. The best way to absorb it all is in these custom-built double-decker cars. Originally, they were built to haul automobiles, but the Gettysburg Railroad creatively converted them so their passengers can have an historic view of the historic journey. The Gettysburg line gently and soothingly will sway you back in time. There are no towering mountains to see here, just a quiet tribute to the past. On your trip, you travel 8 miles north from Gettysburg to Biglerville. You'll pass by Gettysburg College, whose roots date back to 1838. In those days, it was known as Pennsylvania College. The monuments of the first day battleground will catch your eye once you pass the college. Next, you tunnel your way through the thick woods that surround the area and pass by the rich farmland. For 8 miles, you'll wonder, how could such a pretty place have such a deadly past? Four months after the 1863 battle, President Lincoln delivered his famous Gettysburg Address 77 years ago. Oh yes, we do remember. And generations from now, it's likely the Gettysburg Railway will be carrying a new round of passengers who will reflect on the history of the area as the train slowly rocks them down the tracks. After leaving Gettysburg, we venture southwest into the Allegheny mountain chain to Cumberland, Maryland. Here, we're about to hit some stormy weather, a lot of mountain thunder. Oh, but don't worry, you won't need an umbrella. In fact, this is one storm you'll want to ride. Cumberland is home to the Western Maryland Scenic Railroad and Steam Locomotive 734, which it's a Baldwin SC1 Class 280, built in 1916. This huge steam locomotive. Originally, it hauled iron ore for the Lake Superior and Ishpeming Railroad. This beauty's undergone a complete makeover, but one thing remains. That engine eats 3 tons of the stuff on each round trip. Oh, but that's under 3% grades at nearly 1,300 feet in elevation. The Western Maryland route takes you through the 2-mile round trip, and oh, the sights to be seen. Like who jumped to her death area called the Narrows. Tiny prehistoric beasts. They're one of the most spectacular horseshoe formation that occurred. Your adrenaline most definitely will rise as you burrow your way through the 914-foot-long brush tunnel. Hey, kid, the Western Frostburg little places like Mount Savage, United States, were manufactured in 1844. During one more chance to see some fascinating and beautiful sights as you 30 miles south of Cumberland, the oldest and old. This railroad offers several journeys.
All aboard!
and on 90% of all the (1884) began rail service to the mountainous region. In 1978, because of the dwindling freight business and the high maintenance costs of this river grade line, but the state of West Virginia stepped in and bought the line for a mere $1, and that dollar saved a piece of American history and continued freight service to the growing poultry industry in the area. The train journey takes you through the breathtaking Allegheny Mountain Valley. Here, a mixture of maple, oak, and hickory paints a perfect fall portrait, a place so beautiful amateur photographers can't put down their cameras, and travelers can't resist reaching out and trying to snatch nature's autumn shower of falling leaves. There are many memorable sights on this journey, especially as you round the trough. This is the narrowest cut in the valley, where the cliffs are steep and the views are spectacular. The Potomac Eagle began its first passenger excursions in 1990, after a hard history of fighting failing economies and nature's wrath. In 1985, floods wiped out miles of track and major bridges. The rolling stock's a collection of 50-year-old diesel locomotives lovingly rebuilt for the new life back and fought for the main town of Romney. And now, all can enjoy this land of brilliant views and hard-fought victory. From one end of the run to the other, the Potomac Eagle takes forests and mountains that so far have escaped most of the distracting marks of civilization. Why, the Eagle Leaving Romney, we travel southwest over the Allegheny mountain chain to Cass, West Virginia. Feel like doing a little climbing? Well, West Virginia has the hills for it. Did I say hills? Let's talk mountains. We're about to tackle one. Compliments of the Cass Scenic Railroad. As we begin our journey, and the railroad you've just hopped on is going to ascend one of the steepest railroad grades in the country. On a normal rail line, a grade climb of 2% is considered steep. But on the Cass Scenic Railroad, you head up an 11% grade. In other words, for every 100 feet in track traveled, you go up 11 feet at altitude. And that's why the engineer is tilting backward. This is high country. Take a look back and see how you're seemingly leaving Earth behind like an astronaut on a slow-moving spaceship headed for the heavens. The Cass Railroad's been around since 1902. Lumber was the original cargo. At one time, West Virginia led the nation in logging railroad lines. Now all that's left are the 11 miles at Cass. It takes a special train to get up these mountains, but Cass has the right engines for the job. They're Shea logging locomotives, designed to climb the steepest grades and negotiate sharp turns, of which there are plenty on this line. The train is chugging up the hour-and-a-half journey to Whitaker Station and back. If you want to climb higher, you can climb aboard the 4.5-hour trip to Bald Knob. Bald Knob's the second highest point in West Virginia. The overlook there provides a view into 2 states at an altitude of nearly 5,000 feet. To get to either location, the Shea locomotives and their precious cargo go through 2 switchback procedures. All the while, great pistons pound to the beat of hundreds of pounds of steam pressure. The mechanical teamwork needed to make this happen is impressive. But with all that power, the train can only top out at a speed of 6 miles an hour. But with such beauty to be seen, who wants to go any faster? Tourists have been enjoying these trips since the early 60s, and many come back. How could they not? One whiff of the splendor here and you're hooked. One view over the layers of mountains, and you yearn for more. A popular song may have put it best: almost heaven, West Virginia. Leaving the Allegheny Mountains of West Virginia, we travel northwest to the Ohio Valley to a sweet place called as the Little Switzerland of Ohio. You will find this also is Amish country, rich with fertile farmland that time has preserved. The Ohio Central Railroad reveals these wonders as you travel down its century-old track. Its cargo still remains the same passenger. Here, engineers in blue uniforms contrast with bright green fields. And as the train rolls by, none of the local horses pay much mind to this big iron horse. You get used to such sights and sounds after a century or so. The Ohio Central is a 1-hour journey. It's called the Buckeye Route. You ride on a steam locomotive built by the Montreal Locomotive Works in 1912. Old 1551 used to be operated by the Canadian National Railway until 1958. Now, it transports people back in time, a time when life was slower and simpler. Up front, it's a never-ending battle to satisfy this locomotive's mouth. It takes a lot of coal to power this engine down these tracks. This 12-mile journey is a real blast for all who climb aboard, especially for youngsters who've never stuck their heads out of a train before, never saw a valley quite like this. Just look at that finger pointing. There's always something to spot and marvel. The Ohio Central is a rolling postcard of 19th century life, a friendlier time, and the swift rush of wind as another iron horse gallops by. From the bread belt of the Midwest, we head south to the bluegrass. Time to finish lunch. We got a train to catch. Railroad Museum, and it's one museum that's a really moving experience. Tradition in Kentucky, where thoroughbred horses race and train. Part of the Louisville and Nashville railroad system of the needed to move coal out of the eastern Kentucky coal fields. Museum miles of original track, a track that originally took back. On this trip, cars speed past, which is fine with the train passengers. You're in a more relaxed mood. Trains do that to a person. Once upon a time, though, these trains carried more explosive cargo. Part of the rolling stock of the Kentucky Railway Museum includes two late 50s Carolina for the Gulf War, where they played a key role in its Operation Kick Back and Relax. Passengers unwind in their old L&N coach cars and look through the windows to catch a sparkle of the sun or daydream lazily looking out toward the rolling Fork Valley, a peaceful area with an historic past. Or the Confederate Army twice burned the New Haven Bridge to cut off Union support. Speaking of rare sights, the Kentucky Railway Museum also has a Santa Fe engine in the original old blue and yellow paint scheme. This engine was one of the very first generation diesel locomotives produced. Make no mistake, you're not in New Mexico. This is Kentucky country, and there's no better way to view it than on this rolling museum that carves its way through the bluegrass of Kentucky. From Kentucky, we make a straight shot south to Chattanooga, Tennessee, where a special locomotive can't wait to blow off a little steam. Chattanooga still is a thriving train area, but while other trains move faster, there's still something special about a steam locomotive. This is Locomotive 4501, and it's part of the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum, also part of the Dixieland Special, an all-day journey that'll take its passengers on a 95-mile excursion down into Georgia and back. Just after leaving the Grand Junction station, you cross over the 386-foot Chickamauga Creek Bridge. A mile or so, 86-foot of the Mission War Union forces. Also on this trip, second largest military cemetery in the country. It dates back to Civil War times. Speaking of dates, here's a little history about the Tennessee Railway Museum rolling stock. Steam Locomotive 4501 was built for Southern Railroad by Baldwin Locomotive Works in 1911. There's a mixture of heavy and lightweight coaches on this run. The earliest ones date back to 1912. The modern cars were constructed in the 1950s. No matter the year, this run has some eternal beauty to it, especially as you pass Crawfish Springs. On this excursion, you'll pass through parts of Georgia, for this train ride hugs the state line of Georgia and Tennessee. What a deal. 2 states for the price of 1. And if you're unable to make the all-day trip, don't worry. The rail to their East Chattanooga station 6 times a day. And the great thing is, you still get to travel over the Chickamauga Creek Bridge. And go through Missionary Ridge Tunnel. Time to head back east, over the Appalachian Mountains to Dillsboro, North Carolina, where a stretch of the Smoky Mountains await, as does the Great Smoky Mountains Railway. This railroad, hard to believe such a beautiful line was almost destroyed, but these tracks were nearly pulled up in 1988. Luckily, some train investors convinced the state to go in with them and save the historic line. These days, tourists hop on and cuddle. This is a romantic ride, especially in autumn. This railroad's been operating since the late 1800s. First, transporting timber and grocery goods to and from the mountainous region. And now, the cargo is much more precious. The Great Smoky Mountains Railway takes passengers up one of the steepest grades in the east. Like the legend behind the Cowie Tunnel, an 836-foot hole picked out by convicts. It's rumored the tunnel's haunted because 19 convicts died during its construction. No ghost story here, but if you don't like heights, crossing the Fontana Lake Trust 50 feet above this panoramic view of Smoky Mountains Railway. And the best way to absorb all the wonder, the air car.
Warner Brothers said that the full-scale staged railroad the movie industry. All previous.
Another reason, this is where another draw to the Great Smoky Mountains Railway is the stop at the Nantahala Wreck Water. Jets and super hung through narrow rock cliff passages and casting their shadows. When you climb aboard Iron Horse 1702, you've embraced the pioneer spirit of the next bend. That's what scenic railways are all about. They remind me long for. They take us on a journey through the rural wonderlands of America and remind us of the heritage they built. Gently and soothingly. The scenic will these days. Same person you once were.
Our journey has come to an end. The scenic railways we've traveled now are mixed with memories, trains of the past. Scenic railways, all of us, can continue to share the railroad spirit that's so much a part of our pioneering history. So now, until the next scenic happy railroad.
Daddy Claxton, his name forever stand, and always be remembered round the course of Alabama. For his earthly days are over, and the curtains round him fall. We'll carry him home to victory on the Wabash Cannonball. Listen to the jingle around the land of roar, as she flies along the woodlands through the hills and by the shore. Hear the mighty rush of the engine, hear the lonesome hobo squall, traveling through the jungles on the Wabash Cannonball.
To order a copy of Great Scenic Railway Journeys, or for other tape information, contact the North Carolina Public Television Foundation at 1-800-693-3939 or write to the foundation at Post Office Box 12231, Research Triangle Park, North Carolina, 27709. Included in the home video version, we will show you how the Great Smoky Mountains Railway staged the massive train wreck in the blockbuster movie The Fugitive. The tape price is $19.95 plus shipping and handling. Sales tax will be added to North Carolina residents. If you would like to find out more information about the railroads you have seen in this program, here are their phone numbers.
The Los Angeles Times said that the footage was of one of the most colossal train wrecks in recent history. At 4:14 a.m. on a cold February morning in 1993, it started. By 4:15 a.m., it was all over. It took more than 10 weeks to plan and 60 seconds to execute. So how did the Great Smoky Mountains Railway choreograph this massive full-scale train wreck?
What Warner Brothers wanted to do was two stages. First, a stage was to wreck a bus with the train, with the engine. And then the second stage was to wreck the full length of the train.
The first stage involved the train colliding with the bus. The train crew did many practice runs, so the special effects team could get the explosion sequence just right.
First they used was a bus, which they set across our track, and used one engine and shoved it into the bus and used our special effects to make it look like a real bad crash with the bus and the engine.
This home video, shot the night of the filming from the cab of the pusher engine, shows what it looked like when they released the engine and it crashed into the bus.
There they are. Come on, fire. All right.
The next morning, you could clearly see the effects of the impact. Now, with the first stage filmed, the train crew began preparing for the next scene.
In the second part, which they used this engine right here to my right, was the actual train wreck, which we ran through a switch, which would spike down, greased up real good, so everything would go through the switch smooth at a high rate of speed. After we built our switch up here, we needed somehow or another to test it to make sure, to give Warner Brothers a comfortable feel and give us a good feeling that it would work. So we used a box car and also a log car, and we wrecked those individually to make sure that everything worked out. And Warner Brothers wanted to use that to get their special effects on some of the wheels and look like brakes catching on fire.
Now the crew was confident that the 650,000-pound train would go through the switch. The next task was to figure out how to get the engine to lean over as it chased Harrison Ford.
After the train had cleared the switch, which is approximately about 80 feet from the point of the switch to here, there was nothing under these ties, completely nothing at all, was bare. And what we did was we poured a concrete slab and put the weight of the track on one side. Then on the other side, they put PVC pipe, a 6-inch PVC pipe under each tie to hold the ties up to more or less a level runoff. And what they did, it had charges of dynamite on each one of those PVC pipes. And when that engine reached a certain point, it set these off. And when it did that, it made the train wreck lean over to the side, and which made it lean over and ran into the ditch.
The stage was set, the green light given. On a cold February morning at 4:14 a.m., the Great Smoky Mountain Railway crew released the 7-car train, which was on its way to becoming one of the greatest staged train wrecks in history. When daylight broke, the intense aftermath of the wreck could be fully digested. The Great Smoky Mountain Railway looked like a boxcar graveyard.
It was a one-shot deal, one-time deal, and everything had to work, and it had to work out just right. And luckily it did. I mean, it did a great, fantastic scene. Everybody was really pleased, and of course you can see in the movie.
Warner Brothers said that the full-scale staged railroad wreck was the first done in the United States by the movie industry. All previous train wrecks have been done with model trains.
If you want to see the wreck site, you can. Every Great Smoky Mountain Railway excursion that departs from Dillsboro will take you right by.
If you would like more information or would like to order other award-winning PBS Railroad documentaries from RVC Video Productions, call 1-800-767-6067. The RVC Video Library also includes the Great Scenic Railway Journeys, where you'll travel to 13 of the most scenic tourist railways in the eastern United States. You'll also find the Emmy Award-winning program, Where Eagles Fly. You'll travel to Romney, West Virginia, and ride the Potomac Eagles Scenic Railway along the beautiful Potomac River. The library also includes the program Thunder in the Alleghenies. On this journey, you'll travel to Cumberland, Maryland, where you'll climb aboard the largest Baldwin 280 steam engine still operating in the United States. You'll climb 1,300 feet to the town of Frostburg. You'll also find the Emmy Award-winning Great Smoky Mountain Railway. You'll travel through the unspoiled beauty of the Smoky Mountains of western North Carolina. And coming out the spring of '99, from timber to tourism, where you'll travel to Cass, West Virginia. There you'll see the world's largest collection of Shea locomotives in operation and climb nearly 5,000 feet to Bald Knob. And don't forget to look for our summer releases, Great Scenic Railway Journeys Part 2 and 3, where you'll experience the tourist railways of the Midwest and Western United States. For a complete guide to all America's scenic tourist railways, order your copy of Riding the Rails. Until our next PBS Railway program, happy railroading.
Train comes along.